Hey everybody, this is Devin Francis, also known as Leonard Meltzner.
And I'm a proud mama bird.
You're watching episode 132 of the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast. De qu'est-ce que nous parlons aujourd'hui?
They're backing on part 1 and the pack part 1.
So
they're back again as the Odyssey episode of September.
It's funny, through all the time that all the time that I spent editing the interview with Kathy, October.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Through all the time I spent editing the interview with Kathy, I'm like, man, we're talking about these future things, this is so exciting, I just need to make sure I upload it before any of these things come true. So we recorded the episode at the beginning of September, and then I got it out like a couple days into October, and I was like, yes! We got all this cool info, like, Jay confirmed, like, this is, like, all this so exciting and crazy. And then I listened to the episode, and I was like, it already happened.
So, let's start talking about There and Back Again first.
You know what? I am glad, though, Victoria.
Okay, we're officially talking about There and Back Again. We're on this episode.
I'm really glad that when we uploaded the interview in October, not a single person put a comment for us to see that was like, Jay already just came back.
Yeah,
it was not spoiled for me at all, which
this is the kind of thing that we usually get spoiled about in some way, or like heavily hinted at, and that didn't happen. So, who's it by?
Dave Arnold, episode 822.
Thank you, Dave, you angel, you were doing God's work by bringing my son back to
episode 822.
So, this episode gave me a lot of feelings, and I listened to it 3 times in a row. And so in this episode, the Whitakers, and by that I mean Knox. Wilson, thank you. Like, the guys, all the Whitakers, and William Knox. Wilson Knox. Nick Knack. I'm gonna call him that. Nick Knox.
I mean, if his first name was Nicholas, that would literally be his name. It would be Nick Knox.
That'd be great. Anyway, so all the Whitakers and Nick Knox, they go off to New Zealand, except for Monty and Jana and Jenny. So yeah,
and Jerry.
Jenny. Oh, you made it sad. So it's just Whit and Jason and
Janice.
Billy. Stop.
And Hal.
Stop. And so they go to New Zealand. First place they go is Hobbiton.
Charlotte.
And stop. And I didn't expect them to actually mention, like, I thought it would be about The Hobbit, but I didn't think they'd talk about, like, Peter Jackson at all. And they spend, like, the first 5 minutes just talking about the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this works timeline-wise, because this is, like, present day 2017, but apparently they haven't finished filming the Hobbit movies in the world of Odyssey. Because they said, like, this is a promotional shoot for the movie, which means...
Did they say that?
Yeah, they did. And that's, like, why there were tours and stuff.
There's always tours.
No, but that's why, like, the movie people were there.
I thought they said they were doing, like, battle reenactments because that's part of the tourism. Like, they do, like, daily events where they reenact battles from the 5 armies.
No,
is what they were saying.
I think that they were talking about...
I'm pretty sure they were saying...
movie promotional stuff.
No, I'm pretty sure they were saying, like, they reenact the Battle of the 5 Armies from the last Hobbit movie on a daily basis.
I don't think they actually do that, though, in New Zealand.
I doubt it.
I haven't been there, but my friends lived there for like a couple years.
If I recall correctly, I think they were making a jab at the Battle of the 5 Armies and, like, the weirdness of it. Like,
no, I don't think they were. The best thing about that movie was Thorin, honestly.
So, yeah.
Lots of people are probably...
So the Whitakers are off on family vacation. And then, I was not expecting Wilson to be there, although it does make sense. Though. I keep on forgetting. It's like, oh yeah, this is your uncle.
There were some points where I was just thinking, like, I wonder how Jack would have reacted differently to this. Like, the bungee jumping, I don't think Jack actually would have been able to...
No.
Like, I don't think they would have been able to convince him to do it.
No.
At all. I think, like, if it happened, it would have been by accident. Like,
no, it would have been because Jason pushed him off.
Or someone pushed him off deliberately. He would not agree to it, like, Lily did.
So,
So they meet Jay, who's working as a dwarf, although he didn't call himself that, in Hobbiton, and then he also says he has another job on the side, and then they go, and we also hear the Whitakers planning all these different things, running in hamster balls and stuff.
Swerving.
Yeah.
They're not hamster balls.
And they find out that Jay is working at a bungee jumping place, and also a lady almost gets hit by their car. They don't know who she is. She lied about her identity. We'll get back to all this after.
Yeah.
So they sent her to the hospital, and then they went to dinner with Jay, and then they're going to drop Jay off at his house, and he was locked out by his cousin, who is most likely, can we just agree, the lady that they almost hit with their car.
That's my guess.
It has to be.
That was my guess, yeah.
Which they're going to have to talk about in the next episode. Because
that was my first guess, and then as things went on...
They're going straight to the hospital, and they're going to take Jay with them.
As things went on, I was like, except I don't understand how this would make sense together, but that was still my first instinct, was oh, this is Jay's cousin.
Yeah.
That's why the door's locked, because she's got amnesia in the middle of the road.
I don't think she has amnesia. I'm not buying it.
Oh, yeah, or she's scared, she's running away from something. What does that have to do with Jay, though?
She had a knife with her or something like that?
No, it was... She had the thing that was with the word that they thought might be Maori.
Oh, right, she had a cloth or something.
Yeah, or a pillow or whatever.
I haven't listened to the episode in a week or two or something. What else happens? That's kind of where the episode ends. They find out that she disappeared. Bullet Willie finds out that someone he went to monastery school with is in...
Yep, monastery school, back when he was learning to become a monk. The school that you go to for becoming a monk, that one. Back
when he was in monastery school with him.
Monastery school, which is for monks.
Friends. They were friends. He was in the surrounding area, so he was going to visit him. Yes, Devin, would you like to say something?
Nope. Yeah, I would actually. Are you done with your summary?
I can't remember what the word is.
The seminary.
Thank you. I got the airy right. That's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I listened to the episode before you did.
Mm-hmm.
I think about 2 days
yep.
before you did. So I was listening
and then you nagged
to
me
it.
to no end to listen to it, and then I listened to it, and I was like...
Yeah, are you glad I made you listen to it when you did?
Yes.
Actually, you might have gotten spoiled if I didn't get you to listen to it really quick. Maybe not.
I don't think so.
But anyway, so I was on the bus going to school, and then I almost started screaming. Actually, I teared up a little bit.
That's your story for literally every episode.
That's because this is an emotional person, Devin.
But it's always also, everything
so
happens
sad.
on the bus, too. It's just
it's because I keep on listening to Odyssey whenever I'm on my way to school.
Every time you listen to an episode, it's like
when I'm in the grocery store,
it's like a fake text post from 2012.
Or walking back from school or on the bus.
And then everyone stood up and clapped.
Well, that's the end of a predicament of biblical proportions. Anyway, so I pretty much started tearing up on the bus, and I was really hoping no one was looking at me. I think some people might have been, but that's their problem.
It is their problem.
Anyway, I freaked out a lot, and then fortunately I finished the episode right as I was heading into class. I also got a little bit lost, so I kind of didn't pick up on the ending at first, which was why I had to listen to it again.
It was an unexpected journey.
And again. Yeah. This is why class shouldn't be held at places I don't know how to get to. Anyway, so... Yeah, figuring out how the whole thing with the lady coming in. She has to be Jay's cousin. Also, is anyone going to talk about... Oh, I can actually. I always forget that, I have a voice in this community, which is nice. I have a voice in no other fan communities that I'm in, so I have to cherish this.
Except for people correcting you about Infinity War.
Yeah. But that was information I didn't have because I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't
Anyways.
see the trailer. They took it
Go
down.
on. I don't know what you're talking about, so please.
Jay's parents don't know about the fact that, like...
Okay, so...
The show is still happening, apparently. We were told it was canceled. It's still happening, but they replaced him, like, because... with a different actor, because they didn't think he was a very good actor, and honestly, he's not. I love him to bits, but he's not. In Kids Radio, though, he's good. Really quick, though. And now his parents don't know what's happening with them. We got more information about Jay's parents, which I always want. We know what they do.
Is it true or not, though? Because but seriously, I was like...
Okay, his dad is a rocket scientist, but I don't think his mom's actually a doctor. I think that was a joke.
A brain surgeon is what he said. I'm like, so Jay's literally Kim Possible.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is.
Yeah. So if he was serious about that, Jay is Kim Possible.
And then he was like, I'm apprenticing in aeronautics. And I was like, okay, so why does the album art make you look like you're 7 then? Like that, I'm so annoyed how I didn't
recognize Jay from the album art. I was just like, I don't know what's happening here.
The art makes him look like a toddler, and I was like, no, he's not.
So you knew Jay was coming back because you recognized him from the album art.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I thought you said you did.
No. How would I recognize him? That art looks nothing like Jay.
That's what confused me. Anyway, Jay's living with his cousin in New Zealand. His parents know that he's living with his cousin because they, like, set that up. But, they don't know that he's still a part of the TV show. And his cousin is abusive towards him. And, like, no one's addressed this.
Jay fought back, and he, like, knocked her out and left her in the middle of the road with her memory lost. Theory.
So by abusive, I mean, like, if he comes home too late or something like that, she just, like, locks the door on him and makes him sleep outside. And I don't know much about the environment in New Zealand, but it's near Australia, so, like, there's some creepy critters. I don't know if
it's not as bad there, but also weather.
Is it bad, though? Oh,
what?
Yeah, I guess the weather is really bad in New Zealand. And there's, like, volcanoes. There's Mount Doom there.
That's true.
You might get Mount Doomed or picked up by an eagle.
That's true.
They have giant spiders that don't like light and make you scared.
They got those, spiders. Yeah. Okay.
So
do you want to know what the title?
What?
You like were like.
And he hasn't been given a house key because that's a privilege that he won't get apparently from her. And she's also a vegetarian, so he hasn't been allowed to eat meat ever since he left Odyssey. Which is why it took me a little while to pick up on it, because I'm dumb. But that's why he wanted so much meat in the diner, which he probably figured out right away.
Yes, because he was talked about it multiple times. Yeah. Yes.
And also, I like Jason. Like, you understand that bread comes from the ground, and that's technically dirt food too. And Jay's like, stop talking.
Do you want to know what my title for this episode is now? Because you're pestering about it before. Yes. So, as you all know, because I know you all watch every single episode of this, whenever we do the soundtrack reviews for each OAC season, I come up...
Lots of people probably haven't even watched the soundtrack reviews.
I come up with, like, alternate titles for every single episode, and not very far into this one, I knew exactly what the title was going to be for this one. It was too perfect. So tell me, Victoria, what would be the title for an episode which features Jay and is about a kid who grew up in Odyssey?
Jay of the Rings. Okay.
Listen,
Ferris Bueller's Jay
Listen
off.
To me.
Is it that?
No.
Is that better than yours?
No, it's not.
Okay.
A kid who grew up in Odyssey and then he moves away and he has like the super cool job and then he loses the job and now his life isn't going great, but he doesn't want to tell his parents that he's in a bad situation because he's afraid that they'll be disappointed in him.
Living in the J.
Yes!
Yes!
I told you it's perfect.
I got it.
It's perfect.
I can't believe I got that right. Actually, I can.
Yeah, I was like, as soon as I described it, you'll figure it out. Yeah, because this is literally like living in the gray.
It is.
With Jimmy.
It is.
Yeah, as he was talking about it, I was like, this sounds a lot like living in the gray. And he's like, my parents don't know about it. I can't tell them because they'll be disappointed in me. I was like, living in the gray.
I think it is pretty similar, but it has like a lot of different things. Like,
I'm not accusing them of copying each other at all. I'm just saying it was like, wow.
They are definitely super different, though. They
are very different, yes. But the J plot is extremely similar too. The J plot is
that like, you know nothing about his parents. I'm really hoping that
Jay's
we're
girlfriends.
actually... No, she's so much older. But I'm really hoping
I'm just trying to connect it to album 42.
we actually get to hear from Jay's parents sometime. Because they've only been mentioned.
Yes,
and they've been mentioned a lot.
Conspiracy.
The most they've ever been mentioned is... they're usually mentioned with Wally and Jay scenes, like very briefly. They're mentioned in...
Forgot about Wally. We haven't heard from him in a while.
The last time we heard from him, I think he was in
like
Pinocchio episode 2. He was in Pinocchio 2. I just listened to Pinocchio again like a week ago. Because I started re-listening to a lot of Jay episodes after this came out. Also, now that Jay's back, I can talk about Jay again and not Wellington. Bear in mind, I will still talk about Wellington a lot, just less. So all you Wellington fans out there, all one of you, and that you being me, hang in there.
Okay, so...
I'm the only person who likes Wellington.
So the episode again, yeah. So I was really not expecting Wilson to show up here. It does make sense. Like, he hasn't shown up a whole lot since his introduction, so I keep forgetting that he exists.
Oh, I totally forgot to. If that makes you feel better.
So yeah, it's really weird. Like, I figured this episode was going to be like, maybe it was going to be like a retelling of The Hobbit / Lord of the Rings, because like I was picturing like the Pilgrim's Progress revisited sort of thing.
That's what I was hoping for too. I was thinking, I don't know if you were done. Top.
Well, I was gonna say I was picturing really strongly in my mind. My thought was like Pilgrim's Progress revisited. I was like, so maybe they're not even going to New Zealand, or maybe they will, and it'll just like have something to connect. But I didn't expect them to like actually be in Hobbiton. I didn't think they would be able to get.
I thought it was weird,
to
honestly.
Get licensing for that, and I would think they'd need that because the books are probably open source by now. But they're talking about like the movies specifically, and I was like,
is the charity for this month's like Peter Jackson's bank account? Because they're like
that is really, what you said, yeah.
Really harping on these movies.
It is funny because I mean the show makes C.S. Lewis references constantly, so it makes sense that they'd all be like Tolkien.
Tolkien.
Yeah. But it was weird. They were talking about like the movie so much, and I was like, I'm sure the writers are just having a field day, getting excited they finally get to make all of these like nerdy references to the Silmarillion and stuff. But
can I just say the Gollum impersonation was like really bad. Like I can do a better Gollum impersonation than that.
Well, most people can.
The one, and they've also like. Andy Serkis has worked with Focus before. I understand it might be unreasonable to just get one line.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if they actually got Andy Serkis?
I mean, he's worked with them before.
He has.
He was Screw Tape in the Screw Tape letters. He did like the entire thing.
Which is funny.
They also had him like in the behind the scenes thing, and he like signed a picture of Gollum for him.
I never ever thought until just now about the fact that they got him to play the lead character of a book that was dedicated to Tolkien.
Yeah.
I never made that connection.
I didn't think about that.
It was this whole thing that everyone thinks is so funny because Lewis was like, I'm not going to write a sequel because it was so hard to write. It was like the book was like the most miserable writing experience of my life. It was all itch and thirst and hunger and dedicated to J.R.R. Tolkien.
My best friend.
Yeah.
They like hate love each other though.
Yeah, but I'd never made that connection before.
They hate each other characters in their books. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I did. If they had gotten Andy Serkis to be in this episode, that would have been.
I feel like even Jess is great at impersonations.
That's true.
Why didn't they get him to do it? I shouldn't be harping on this.
Anyways.
But I was like cringing.
So yeah, Jay's like, yeah, I'm working here, but I'm also apprenticing at the aeronautics lab, which I totally believed at first. I was like, that's super cool.
Oh wait, no, you're a liar. Can I say really quick, my theories for this episode were the same as yours, like a Pilgrim's Progress, just retelling of it, which I thought would be really cool, because we all know that the Hobbit movies were not the most accurate. If you want an accurate movie, watch the Ralph Bakshi film.
Or just read the book.
Well, if you want a movie, is what I said. Although, I took, like, a Tolkien class last year, and I did, like, an entire essay on this Riddles in the Dark Scene. Riddles in the Dark Scene better in the Peter Jackson version than the Ralph Bakshi one. So, yeah. And, so I thought it was either going to be, like, Pilgrim's Progress.
Is that the animated Russian one?
No. Do you know that movie Cool World that the nostalgia
Yes.
created? Yeah, it's made by that guy.
Oh, okay.
He made, movies for The Hobbit, Lord of the Ring, or Fellowship of the Ring, and Two Towers.
Mm.
And then the people who made the Rudolph cartoons and stuff made Return of the King, but they made like all the goblins.
Is it stop motion?
No, it's animated. Like normally. But they made like the orcs sing and dance like
as you do.
As they whipped people to death.
Mm-hmm. And
the song's like, where there's a whip, which there's a way, and it's like the worst thing ever. And they're like, we don't want to go to war today. And so like it's the worst thing ever. And yeah, so no one talks about it.
Cool.
So my other
Sure, what were you saying?
I can sing. My other theory for the 3-parter was like a kind of biography thing about Tolkien.
Yeah,
which
that
I
was
thought would be
another one
really
of my guesses.
interesting.
Yeah.
And like his life, and then it ends.
Yeah, I think I brought that
him
up.
starting to write it, and I was like, this could be really cool because maybe C.S. Lewis could show up.
Yeah, I think.
And I was really hoping for that.
I think I raised that.
We got Jay's return, so I'm not going to complain.
I think I raised that as one of the possibilities because I was talking about like, oh, this episode will probably be in New Zealand, and then I was like, maybe it'll be about life of Tolkien. I was like, except that one would be in England, I guess, not in New Zealand. But yeah, no, it was interesting because then they find the woman in the road, and it was like, so like there's a mystery, and then they want to visit Jay's aeronautics lab later. It was like, I guess this episode is not actually about Tolkien like at all. That was just like an intro, like foot in the door kind of thing.
I was so worried that Jay wasn't gonna show up again after they
just a cameo.
I was so worried because they went to Hobbiton and they were like, well, bye Jay, and I was like, wait, no. and then they had the thing with the lady, and I was just like, yeah, interesting, I really don't care, go back to Jay. And then they
she's like she's in the middle. She's like, oh, I can't stand Victoria's just shoving her out of the
pretty much, yeah. And I was just like, oh, I'll call someone if I remember. And then like I ran off in the other direction. I was like, my son.
Cool story, bro.
And so then they like went to try and find the aeronautics place, and I was thinking like they're never gonna see Jay again. That was it, because it's hard to fly Whit and to film. It's film lines.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
And then Jay, I heard his beautiful nasally voice again. I was like, oh, thank God. and then he was also in more scenes, and I think he's gonna be a bigger part in the next 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
You said you think that he's gonna come back to Odyssey after this. I'm hoping, but I will not let myself entertain complete hope in case he does not, because that will break my heart.
That is fair.
So I'm reserving my opinion on that.
That's fair.
Jay was only like in about half this episode, a little over half.
So they find the woman and they bring her to the hospital and drop her off and stuff. And then I like how Whit gives the slightest pretense that he's just going to let this mystery go, and he isn't going to obsessively see it through to the end like always.
Had you ever heard of that type of car that she was using as an alias? Okay, I hadn't either, so I was wondering if you did. I figured you wouldn't, because you know about as much about cars as me. You know more though, but not much.
Yeah, proportionally more. You were technically correct.
I know nothing.
Yeah, I like how it's just like, oh, I guess that's the end of that mystery. And I'm sure Jason internally was like, yeah, sure, Jan. Except sure, John. And it was like,
I thought it was
perfect.
really funny that like everyone figured out if not a little unrealistic, that everyone figured out she was using a fake name other than Jason. And he was like, how rusty am I? I was like, okay, I can totally understand Whit figuring it out. Mm-hmm. But Willie figuring out, and Jason
the nurse too.
not figuring it out, and the nurse. But the nurse also had like the database behind her and stuff.
True,
so but Willie figuring out right away, and Jason not figuring it out.
Yeah,
that that's too much for my suspended disbelief. It can't hold that much.
So, yeah, it was like Hobbiton, Zorbing, bungee jumping, amnesia mystery, living in the J.
I don't think she actually has amnesia, though.
What a great vacation. We'll get there. Like, what a great vacation. I like how Wilson says to Whit, he's like, don't tell me you want to bungee jump. I was like, excuse me, have you ever met this man?
I was like, he's already bungee jumped. Are they not going to talk about this? And they did.
Do you think he doesn't already bungee jump, like, on a monthly basis at least? Wilson? Have you ever met John Avery Whittaker before?
He's only done it once before, though, and I thought that was interesting.
He's only done it once on the legal record, Victoria.
Other
times were redacted. He
was talking to himself, and he said, like, I've only done this once.
The other times were redacted. The other times were redacted, even to Whit himself. They did that to wipe his memory.
Plot twist, the amnesia mystery is actually about Whit and not the lady.
Yeah. And then Whit, I was like, of all the ways I thought that Whit would die, I never thought it would be a freak Zorbing accident.
I was surprised
that is like in the bottom 5 list of ways I would have guessed that Whit was going to die.
One day you're gonna have to say what the other 4 are. I
will reveal them as they come up in episodes.
Was one of them from Angels and the Horsehair, a kid holding chains, throwing an axe in Whit's back when he's not looking.
Actually was one of the other 5. Amazing guesswork, Victoria.
Okay, so...
It's like, man, someone's been stealing my list.
Someone's been looking in my private diary.
It's like
my private AIOO diary.
It's like one of the writers watches the show or something. Jay seeking home advice by analyzing Jason and Whit's relationship was like...
At first I was just like, what is this? What are you doing, my boy? And it was like one of the few times I've not been completely on to Jay. Like,
really?
Right away. Yeah.
Really? I was on his case.
No, it wasn't until
like a mouse on
pointed
cheese.
it out. Because I was focusing on Jay being like, so, Jason used to be a secret agent. Do you miss that? And I was like, no! And that took, like, all my focus. I was like, we're not going to talk about this, because there's also...
jumping on Jay.
I was like, Jay, I love you, but shut up. And, like, because before, there was also the thing about him not figuring out the code, and then there was this, and I was like, no,
I'm rusty, and
what is
stop
this?
it. Stop it.
I was like, we gotta stop this before it starts. Can't have this happening. This is bad. And so I was like, I love Jay to death, but I will not let him do this. I will stop him.
Yeah. So yeah, I really love that scene because it was like analyzing Jason and Whit analyzing the relationship together was like and Jay talking about like his development is like so sticking those two together
and Jay being
like, the one to initiate it.
Is your dad disappointed in you because you don't have a mustache?
I was like, this is some real emotional dialogue right here.
Art, pure art. One thing I didn't like about Jay from this episode, it kind of like peeved me quite a bit actually, was how he treated the waitress at the store when he was snapping at her. I know that like she knew it was like all in good fun. She didn't sound like upset or anything about that. Mm. But he was just like, "Hey, where's my breadsticks?" And he's like, "Excuse me, these aren't breadsticks. Going in." I was like, "No. I have worked in customer service. It is not fun to be talked to like that."
And Jay,
I don't like seeing people be mean to people in customer service.
Jay works in tourism, so he's he works in the height of customer service retail nightmare.
I was like stopped by someone on the street yesterday asking for directions, and they didn't speak English, and I was just like, no.
That is completely not the same thing.
I know, but I froze up, and I forgot to tell you about it.
Okay. And now everyone knows,
knows. I don't think I was much help either.
So, what do you think is going to happen with the... See, here's what I thought at first.
Okay, she's definitely his cousin. Also, I love the relationship between Jason and Jay knew Bro TP. It was amazing.
So
I don't think I've ever really seen them interact with each other before.
not much,
But, like,
really.
they were, like, joking around with each other. I was like, this is nice. They actually kind of had, like, a little brotherly teasing thing going on. And also they're, like, sharing a hotel room. I was like, yes, more interactions in between them, please. I was like, adopt Jay, please.
So
adopt him.
with the mystery woman, my first thought, because at this point, we thought that Jay worked at a legit aeronautics lab.
What was the name she went by, the alias?
Kari McVehicle Face.
Sure.
So yeah, he was like, I work at the aeronautics lab, come by tomorrow. And then after that, before they go there, they run into this woman who seems like she's like scared, like she was like attacked or like is like running from something. She's afraid, she's like on the run. And so I was like, oh, she like works at the lab where Jay works, and this is some kind of like big like government conspiracy having to do with like the aeronautics lab, like whatever the New Zealand version of NASA is or something.
What's window episode?
Broken Window?
No.
Or sorry, Through the Looking Glass. Yeah.
Yeah, Through the Looking Glass. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, sort of, basically.
But New Zealand with hobbits.
The Other Side of the Glass is what it's called.
Yeah, The Other Side of the Glass, AIOO, but they're all hobbits.
Yes. So I was thinking there's some kind of like conspiracy, because it's like, like aeronautics, top secret government research, stuff like that makes sense. Like she's like on the run or something, she found something she's not supposed to, Novacom, whatever kind of thing. And they find her, and then they'll go to visit Jay at the lab, and then they'll hear about this missing person, and then that's how it starts to tie together, and that's how Jay ties into this plot. But then it turns out he works at a
Jay's
bungee...
the bait. He's the Shaggy and
then
Scooby
it turns
of
out,
Odyssey.
Yeah, that he works at a bungee jumping place, and I was like, oh, there's my theory.
Bungee jumping death conspiracy.
So at that point, then I was like, maybe she's his cousin, because he got home, and he's like, she's not here. But I don't understand what the... I mean, she could... I don't understand a necessary connection between anything that we know about her from Jay's perspective and what we saw of her there, which doesn't mean there isn't one, but I feel like there would be some kind of hint to how it would
She went missing at the same time.
Yeah.
So Jay said, like, she should be here, and she wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, I figure that's it. I just feel like there'd be more of
it has to be her.
Explanation about, like, why did this happen to her? Like, some hint Jay would have given about her background that would lead us to connect some kind of intrigue.
Maybe she has, like, some deep, dark past that has to do with why she's a vegetarian. Like, she's scared turkeys will kill her or something like that. And they, like, attacked her, and then she, like, ran into the road, and then she got hit.
That could be it.
Yeah.
Maybe she's from, like, the shadier, like, past Wally Hagler kind of side of the family and has been involved in more dealings. We don't know what side of the family she's on.
But let me think. We know from the Green Ring Conspiracy, there's Wally Hagler.
Yeah.
And then there's Archie Hagler.
Yes. And
then there's Jay's mom, I think, is their sister.
Yeah, I think so.
And then there's also, I think, one more sister or brother.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's it. So I think
we don't know.
We
don't know about the other sibling because he said like the couple's name, so we don't know which one was the Hagler. Yeah,
so like she must be the kid of them.
So she could be a Smouse or she could be a Hagler. We don't know. But if she is, could you imagine if she was Uncle Archie's daughter?
No.
That would explain.
This is going to be like more Blackguard Buck theory.
Yes.
And I won't have
it.
I won't have it on
stand
my
for it.
I will stop this episode.
Under that theory, technically Buck would be Wilson's son.
Stop.
Because...
What? How did you even get that?
Well, because I was like...
No, actually, I don't want to know. Stop.
Because I said Whit's sister is married to Blackguard, but then it turned out Whit's sister was married to Wilson.
Wilson is Blackguard.
Exactly. Exactly.
Stop. Okay.
He's the one who knocks. It's Breaking Bad, the Blackguard, it's all connected.
Leave.
The mineral. The mineral under Whit's End was just meth.
You're spitting all over the place. Get
it was
out.
meth all along. Just Whit's End is built on a giant natural meth lab.
No, I'm leaving.
That's why it soothes the aches when you put it in your wounds. That would have been such a different episode in the Underground Railroad when he's like, "Here, I made you like a healing salve for your wounds." It's just crystal meth.
Talk about the episode, Devin.
So yeah, it's Jay's sister, and I don't know what's wrong with her, but it could honestly have a connection.
Cousin?
Yeah, did I say sister?
Yes.
Same thing.
No,
Family's family.
Very different.
She's his cousin, and maybe it could legitimately have something to do with relating to like Archie or Wally's past or something like that, or it could be she's in trouble for whatever different reason. She might be a haggler, she might be a smouse. I hadn't really thought about that before, like connecting that to Wally, because I forgot that they existed.
I remember everything I get to learn about Jay's family line, because it's important to me.
That they existed, Archie and Wally.
We already know that, like, Jay has a lot of issues of his parents not approving of the things he does. Like, we know he's smart because he was able, like, when he really applied himself in To Sink a Sub, I've thought about this stuff a lot.
No.
I'm about to go into some stuff, so ready yourself. In To Sink a Sub, he starts off by saying his grades aren't very good. We know from other episodes, or at least we can guess, that his grades aren't very good, but he's very smart. Like, once he actually applies himself in To Sink a Sub, he does really good, and he gets super into, I think it was A Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah, but Jay's also like a big literature guy.
He is. He's really into reading. He's super smart, honestly. And he was able to memorize all the lines in, like, for Barrett's role and stuff to become his understudy. And he probably knew, like, a lot of everyone else's lines, too. Like, my guess is he had, like, all the lead's lines memorized. Like, if Priscilla got sick, he would have taken over for
It would have
her.
been a one-man show, yeah.
Yeah,
he
honestly could do a one-man show. I would not be surprised.
He already does. It's called Jay's Life.
And then, he does a lot of impersonations and stuff, too. And he's, like, a really big classic rock person and, like, a really big music fan. Like, not only is he in the band, he's also, like, and he plays percussion, he's super into Elvis stuff. And he, like, collects classical things. And I'm trying to think of the name of the episode. What's the one where Barrett almost cheats? It's, like, Barrett's last episode that he's been in, I think.
It was... Yeah.
But, like, in that one, whatever it's called...
It was Repent After Me, that's what it was.
Yeah. So, remember how Jay had, like, that really complicated scheme? Like, he found, like, all these locker combinations, and he, like, hacked this computer and security cameras.
Yeah.
And it was, like, crazy smart and stuff. Like, he is a smart kid.
Yeah, you don't have to convince me.
Yeah, I know. I'm just, like, saying in general. And, like, his parents, if they actually are the professions that he says they are, and he wasn't joking at all, that, like, from personal experience, I can say, when you are related to really smart people, like, it makes life hard for you, because people have really high expectations of literally everything that you will do in your life, so that makes you, like, really stressed out and not perform or do as well in a lot of different things. Stop looking at me like that. And what?
I don't know where to look.
Just that way. And so, like, Jay being in that position, too, that means, like, there'd be all this pressure, and then if he doesn't do as well, then he'll feel even more pressure, and he might get even, like, worse marks and stuff, because he's being so stressed out about everything. And then he has, like, one thing which he finally feels like he can succeed at, and we know from 30 J's Hat September that his parents give him a lot of disapproving looks quite often and stuff. If you remember.
Yes.
That. So he mentions that, like, quite a few times in that episode. And it kind of sounds like, from the lack of mention, or rather all the negative mentions of his parents, that, like, they aren't, I'm not going to say they aren't close, but, like, they don't have a really, okay, yeah, I guess they aren't really that close. So, like, they are there for him.
They're just not that into him.
Yeah, I'm not going to go as far as to say, like, they don't love him or anything like that, 'cause they do.
If they really are those professions, it's probably a lot that they're, like, consumed with their work.
Yeah, they're super busy, and, like, the mention that we've gotten of both of them at the same time is how they are very tired. Like, even though it's just, like, kind of a joke.
Science is a full-time job, Victoria.
Yeah, exactly.
It's busy, as you may have noticed.
Even though it's kind of a joke in Green Ring Conspiracy.
It involves a lot of overtime.
It sounds like they're really tired when they're home, so they probably don't have, like, that much energy to spend time with them because of how busy they are. So now he has, like, this one thing that, like, his father is proud of him. That's the first time I've ever heard Jay say anything about his parents being, like, happy or proud of him or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't work out, so he feels like he can't go back home. And I want to say, like, I got really worried that they messed with his age a lot, because he was, like, for all I knew at the beginning of the episode, he was living by himself in New Zealand, and I thought...
that's what I was like, I'd feel like Whit would be more concerned about this situation.
Yeah, I thought they, like, aged him up a lot.
Oh,
all
hey,
of a sudden.
Jay,
like,
you middle schooler, so
like,
you're living by yourself on a foreign continent, huh?
They made him, like, 5 or 6
See
years
you later.
older, just suddenly.
See you later,
and
Jay.
I was thinking, like, oh no, they pulled a Marvin, and that's what I'm going to refer to as drastically changing a character's age with no explanation, like they did.
Are you talking about, like, this year?
Marvin this year. Because, like...
Marvin was gone, and then he was not aged, though.
Yeah, it's like... But Marvin should be aged, and he's, like, the same age.
Yes,
but
it's the opposite of that.
But it makes it sound like he's older, because the only character we knew who was on the team with him was Ryan. So, I guess it'd be, like, more like pulling Ryan, but...
I mean, granted, like I said,
I want Nelson and Ryan to be in more episodes. Not Pete, though. I don't like Pete.
It was like Marvin was a kid and Ryan was a kid in like 5 episodes apart from each other. Like Marvin's last episode and Ryan's first episode. Between, like, Kidsborough and Album 50. So. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, I know, right? Time doesn't pass.
Doesn't make sense, though.
No, nothing makes sense, Victoria.
None of that makes sense. I don't like it. No.
It was a really good episode. Yeah,
I have so
honestly,
much more fuel for my J analysis.
Honestly, what you were saying, Victoria, that is entirely 100% why I believed it when he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm interning at aeronautics lab." I was like,
fair. Yeah,
I believe it.
Yeah,
I was like, seems legit.
He's super smart, and I feel like I'm the only one who ever acknowledges, like, how smart Jay is. You do too.
Yeah.
We're the only ones. But yeah, I'm so
glad. Out of
glad.
all the 0 other people that you're checking to see.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm so glad my boy's back. I'm so happy about it. Who is the charity? Did they actually have one, or was this episode,
no, it's just
like,
focused on the family in New Zealand.
Just to pay off their tickets for seeing all the Hobbit movies?
Focus New Zealand. No, it wasn't that. It was to pay off their tickets to travel to New Zealand.
That was my other theory.
Go spelunking, looking at glowworms, going zorbing. There was a video that was not part of this,
if you had the opportunity, would you go zorb? Yeah, you would.
Of course.
I would not. I would be terrified.
Of what?
I feel like I would burn myself.
If you do wet zorbing, then it's just like a water slide that moves with you.
That sounds horrifying, though.
No, you just slide. You don't even move.
No, I probably accidentally go upside down. I would.
You don't
first
flip,
off,
because you just slide. The ball slides, and you just stay on the bottom of the ball.
I would be worried that I would go upside down. I don't like.
It's also not very fast, Victoria.
Second, I would be worried that I would burn myself because it's like hot in New Zealand.
It's all wet.
And like, what if there was one part that wasn't hot and I hit it, or it wasn't wet and I hit it, and then it like burned me because it's spinning so
It's
fast.
all wet.
And then third, I would probably get claustrophobic.
It's not that small. You can like stand up inside of it.
Oh no, I'd be claustrophobic.
Anyways,
I get claustrophobic in my bedroom if the window's not open, and that's big.
Not related to this expedition, but they did also show footage of Wilson Knox's VA bungee jumping, and they were like, "See, he did it in real life too."
What was up with the like his voice when he did the bungee jumping though? It got really weird, the sound quality.
I don't know.
Cause like everyone sounded like normal when they're like, "Yeah, let's go."
It's the Doppler effect.
And
I
then
don't know.
and then he sounded like he was actually like falling off a cliff, and like no one else did, and I was like, "What is this?"
Well, like in the nature of his scream, or in something about the quality of the sound?
The quality of the sound sounded really weird. Like, it sounded like everyone else was just, like, making their voice go quieter, but they were actually, like, he was in a wheelchair, or not, like, just, like, a normal desk chair with wheels, and he started, like, saying the line, and they just, like, yanked him back.
I don't know.
It sounded weird.
Yeah, and they also ride a shot-over jet while they're in there, which is, like, a high-passenger speedboat, but it goes over shallow water, so it doesn't have an outboard motor, which means it's like this boat.
I don't know what that is.
Like a motor on like a speedboat that has like a blade, a propeller in the water, you know? How boats have motors and stuff.
What's a motor?
So this boat is crazy because it just uses like water pumps, and even though it holds like 12 people, it's so shallow that it can go through water that's only like 8 centimeters deep.
Did you know that there's a type of plane
It's wild.
that you hook up to another plane, and this one doesn't have a motor, and you like...
Yeah, it's a glider.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing
Yeah.
until I found out because of that horrible book that we won't name, 50 Shades. There's a glider in that, and I was like, what's a glider?
Yeah, no.
Have you heard of glide? They sound terrifying.
I'm pretty sure the first time I found out what a glider was, I was probably 6.
They sound terrifying.
Maybe.
But, like, how would you control not falling to your death?
You just steer it.
But, like...
It steers the same way as a regular plane. It has flaps and fins.
No, but, like, if you
stalled, you'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
But if you stall, you're just as
But
likely
they don't have motors.
to die in a plane with a motor.
They don't have motors.
Yeah, I know.
But, like, what if you get too low and then you can't get up and you're gonna, like, hit something? Then you can't get up further because you're just, like, always falling
Well, if
down.
you have the momentum, then you will. It's like playing Batman.
No. I don't like
Because here's the thing, Victoria.
Gliders are worse than planes. I thought nothing could be worse
I
than planes.
hate to break it to you,
happen.
but most of the problems you're describing would be just as lethal in a plane with a motor as they would be in a glider.
I feel sick. Let's
which
stop
is
talking
still,
about this.
which is still 100 times safer than a car. So.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway.
So, that was this episode. It was super good. I can't wait to hear what happens in part 2, so I'm glad we recorded it, so now we can listen to part 2. Sorry that this isn't coming out on time for you guys to, like, for us to share predictions before part 2 comes out, because it came out, like, a week ago.
No, I think
and then by the time this video comes out, hopefully part 3's not out yet.
You know what I find funny?
What?
A lot of people, like, if they became a Elvis impersonator in Vegas, that would be, like, the worst job ever. But I think that would be Jay's dream job.
Yes.
So.
That is true. All right. Let's talk about another fantastic episode, which is The Pact, part 1.
Future Devin and Victoria, whom Kathy loves.
Yes.
Never forget.
So, let's do that right now. So, we're back now. It's just scant seconds have passed since we recorded Life in the J Part 1.
I don't even remember when we recorded that.
It was probably like a month at least ago.
Probably. But, like, Part 2 was already out, so it was...
We're still halfway through December now, so...
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, we're talking about The Pact, Part 1, episode 511, written by Nathan Hubler. What happens in the first half of the pact?
So, Mandy meets Agnes because she's volunteering at the
Hillingdale,
thank you. And she is found to be very familiar to Agnes. And Agnes takes a shine to her. And then soon, Tom and Mandy find out that Agnes used to have this friend. And there's like these
they don't
girls.
know. They don't even know if it's a person.
Yeah, they
just know it's letters.
They find out these letters called, they're J-O, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they're like these red journals with gold lettering, and it's a mystery, and
It's
Agnes
also, it doesn't come till the end of the episode.
Agnes runs away, and yeah.
Agnes rushes in.
Agnes rushes in.
Or
she
out.
hitchhikes.
Agnes rushes out.
She's braver than I. I would never hitchhike.
It was funny because you did write Agnes on the back of one of them, but it was a different ornament.
Yeah.
So
But that's because they call him Agnes.
I know.
Oh,
They call him many things.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Pact. Oh, such a good episode.
Good stuff.
Because it's in album 39, it's one of the first episodes that we had that we listened to a billion times. Like, I know the lines in this episode by heart. And it's an episode that it didn't appreciate in so many different ways for the longest time, especially the whole plot twist with Joanne, because we had no idea who she was.
We knew about Joanne's past with Agnes before we knew who Joanne was.
They're like, Joanne Allen? What are you doing here? And I'm like...
We go back to later episodes, they're like, this is Joanne Whitston, and we're like, what?
So, Agnes Rose Riley, I love her character so much, and these
good character.
are such great episodes, but apart from her initial appearance and then her return in The Other Woman and her plot stuff in Novacom, this is her only appearance along with For Better or For Worse, which is a travesty of everything.
And she's also in Thanksgiving. Thank you, God.
Yeah, I said her first appearance.
Oh, okay. She's a good character. She's a good lady.
She's so good.
Good.
And Joanne is so good. So yeah, the Joanne plot twist, we never appreciated the significance of it for the longest time. I think it's something that would have been pretty neat to experience in context, because it's not completely out of nowhere that it's Joanne, because we know a little bit already about Joanne's past working in Sri Lanka.
Mm-hmm.
And as they talk about in the episode, so you could conceivably put those pieces together in advance before it's revealed.
We know a lot about Joanne
True.
Proportion to how much she is in the show.
It's true.
Which
a lot.
I really appreciate.
Because she's great.
She is
Love
great.
Janet Waldo.
She's so good. This episode is dedicated to Janet Waldo.
Yeah. Even though I think we already did an episode for both Janet and...
She gets another one.
Yeah.
Because every single time I talk about Jack, I dedicate that episode to Alan.
Mm-hmm.
So also, every time I watch a DuckTales episode.
Yeah, it makes me sad. The new 2017 DuckTales is amazing, but
It's
also
so
makes me
good.
sad constantly to think about Alan Young.
It makes me sad thinking about
as
Alan,
much as I love
but
David
I
Tennant being
have
Scrooge.
gotten used to David Tennant's Scrooge voice, and I do like hearing him actually get to use his actual accent instead of being pushed into being British or American or something.
Yeah.
Anyway.
English.
Go watch DuckTales.
English, you mean?
Yes.
Scotland is in Britain, but not England.
Shush.
This is another one of those episodes that was an absolute gold mine for the Tom lore, because they have all this calendar stuff and the journals, and it results in so much specific event stuff with specific years through Tom and Agnes's relationship. And then we also get all the pact meetings where they talk about their specific ages each time and the events that are correlated with those in both Agnes and Joanne's lives that align with their ages. Yep. As well as time before the present, how long ago it was. And also what age she was. That gives us Agnes's current age up to this episode, which is 73. And it's all so detailed, little else in this entire show.
And, the present day stuff is, really, really good. but the flashbacks are like so good. I know we haven't really
It's
gotten
not in
into
this
the
episode.
flashbacks. This is part 2, but still, they're so good.
And I think because I heard this episode before I knew, like, I heard any other episode literally at all with Agnes,
Joanne.
That's true. I have a hard time sometimes appreciating the seriousness of Agnes' situation in light of the context of the show, because this is one season after Novacom ended, which not only showed how bad Agnes had become at certain points, but also featured Dent disappearing from Hillingdale exactly like Agnes does in this episode, and he went on to bomb the transmission tower and nearly kill Cal Jordan in the process. So I'm sure that for the listeners hearing this, that this would have harkened back to that scene just one album ago, disconcertingly, making that connection.
I mean, I probably wouldn't have gone that far to think.
Well, no, I don't think she would do that, but I'm just saying we have 2 scenes in parallel albums where we have someone who is affected by the Nova box staying at Hillingdale Haven who disappears. And that was like to happen to be this horrible thing, and so Brain would immediately like make this connection between the 2 things listening to this for the first time.
Every single time I look over at you, I'm just looking at the thing.
Where was I? My mind is always blown every single time I'm reminded that this episode starts on the morning of August 7 and it ends at 6 o'clock in the evening the same day.
I don't really know what to call it. I call it kind of date night syndrome.
Yeah.
When it feels like it's like gone on for such a long time, but it's just been like a very short amount of time,
like
if not only a couple
like
hours.
Like the first 5 acts of Homestuck.
Oh, yeah. I know normal people would just call that real time, but the first time it really ever hit me in a story that, like, this has only happened in, like, a handful of hours was one of the times I watched Date Night when I was older. I was just like, all the stuff with the espionage and the spies and everything happened in one night.
In Homestuck, whenever in, like, Act 5, Act 2, they're like, boy, it sure has been a crazy 24 hours. It feels like it's been 4 years, or like 2 years at that point.
Yeah, but the thing with Homestuck is it happens in, like, 50 different perspectives, and it flashes back to the past a lot.
Okay, the point here, it's wild, because through all the back and forth between the farm and Hillingdale, which are both outside of Odyssey, I don't think they're terribly close to each other, back and forth, and Agnes running away, and then she makes it to the next state, like into a different state, and the police are out looking for her, and the Whit has to enter the picture, and they investigate, they do all their research and reading, they figure it out, and then they travel all the way there too. In that short number of hours, like, it feels in my mind every time like it's on the time scale of at least like 3 days or so. And she paints so much in just a couple of hours before she even leaves for the lake, and she still has time to get there.
And the police reacted so fast. Like, it usually takes them way longer, and they're like, give us like 5 days and we'll think about it. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird to think about. I love this sneaky little line when Whit first arrives, and he's like, "Oh, Jack's looking after the shop. They closed the antique shop down because Joanna's out of town for something." It's like, which the first time I'm like, I don't know what that is. I feel like we would have predicted that Joanne was Joe.
Probably.
Especially with the line, Joanne is out of town.
That probably could have tipped us off.
I wonder how many people, like, first time they heard this, they're just like, oh, I know what's happening.
Those are the stats I always want to know. I always want, like, the telltale stats at the end of, like, how many people figured out this plot twist.
How many people decided to not go to the lake.
Agnes won't remember this.
Oh, no!
Sorry.
What's wrong with you?
That's the most inevitable telltale joke.
That's so mean. Go away.
It's a telltale. We're making a telltale joke.
How dare you?
So, also to add to the Arthur Dent thing, they use a couple of the suspenseful music stings from Novacom, and it really adds to the ominous tension in the air a lot. It
turns out Agnes was the board of directors of Andromeda.
So
what a twist!
Like you said, with all that we know about Joanne's backstory, it is amazing how much that woman gets around, because just in terms of backstory, between this episode and End of an Era, like if someone had told Tom when he first met Eugene in Connie Part 1 that you're like, hey Tom, did you know that your wife's childhood secret best friend became a nurse who tended to this kid before he was born?
And like he wouldn't be alive maybe if it weren't for
Tom
her.
would have been bowled out of his socks. That is such like it's not a coincidence, Victoria.
Just Johnny Depp.
I'm curious about what would have happened here if Mandy, Tom, and Whit had never put the pieces together, because Agnes still would have found Joanne at Loon Lake, and Joanne presumably would have given Agnes a ride back when she found out that she hitchhiked there. And then there would have been a very surprising conversation when Joanne dropped Agnes off at Hillingdale in the midst of a huge search.
It's so hard not to talk about Part 2 for like all of the Part 1 review. I'm always impressed, and this kind of has to do with Part 2 more, but it's like hard not to talk about Part 2, that Agnes stayed so coherent for like the entire.
Yeah, I really love that. I talked about it in my Part 2 notes.
I always like thought about, oh, it'd be so bad if she suddenly like kind of went out of it halfway through the drive and she didn't know where she was and she was like, I need to go back home, and the lady driving her would be like, what's happening? Or she saw Joanne. Could you imagine how heartbreaking that'd be if she saw Joanne and she was just like, Rose, and she's like, I don't know who you are, and it would be like Taco and you're just like, no, and it would be so sad.
But yeah, I think to go back to my last point, picturing like the scene where like imagining they're still in Hillingdale, like Mandy and Tom and Whit, they're still trying to figure it out, and then they hear like, Agnes is here, and they run out front, and Joanne Allen is like there, and the Agnes is getting out of her car. That would have been really confusing.
And then they're all just sitting there that, oh, I get it.
When I was a kid, I was mega super confused by Tom's like, come on to the house when he realizes the journal revelation, by which he means come on, to the house, but which I interpreted for the longest time as climb up onto the roof of my house. The only way to access the box of journals is through the shingles of my roof. That's how I interpreted that line for a very, very long time.
There are like tons of things I've always been really confused about.
Well, because we also didn't know.
I should have picked up on, so I'm not going to.
Didn't know what Hillingdale Haven was, so couldn't distinguish between like if that was like their house or like why is Agnes not their house? Is she at their? It was very confusing.
That's true.
They give
not a very good album to start the show on.
Yeah,
admittedly,
it's full.
Better than Battle Lines.
This episode has like 4 episodes that are epilogue to Novacom. So
yeah, and like our tail ends on relationships.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I think this might be the biggest gap for a previously on at the start, in terms of like where the clips come from and the episode's taking place, because this one has previously on clips from The Other Woman, which is 11 albums prior.
I want to say there's one that's like even more.
I don't think so. I don't think any other ones ever really use ones more than like an album or two ago, if that.
If there was a previously on for Jeff, then that would actually spoil the entire plot twist.
That's exactly what I was going to say, yes.
It's a good thing there was not.
Yeah, if they started the episode by flashing back to like, hey, remember when Mildred died?
Honestly, if they gave previously on to
Life Expectancy?
First Love. No, First Love and Life Expectancy. And then I would just think it would mention, like, Connie would say something about, like, oh yeah, I haven't really connected with anyone. Like, something about her relationship, not Jeff Lewis coming back.
I think they could have done it before the pilot, perhaps. Because that is more... Because Jeff only has, like, a one scene in Life Expectancy.
Yeah, and it's pretty much just him saying, like, hey, let's hang out sometime. They don't really talk about the fact that they used to be a couple. Connie, like, really quickly mentions it to Peggy.
That whole history stuff actually comes up in the pilot.
That's a good point, because the fact that, like, everyone thinks they're on a date in the pilot,
exactly.
like, 6 times.
And they talk about, like, their family history and
mention.
how they used to go out and, like, what it's been doing since then. And, like, oh, maybe not.
What about Becky? That'd be the longest one. That would also spoil quite a bit.
It would also be weird. Like, what would you put in that? I have a sister named Becky. And now,
that would be
Adventures in Odyssey.
That would be it. Actually, just that.
Yes, it would.
Yeah. It'd just be Becky yelling, Tom! And then it would start.
That's exactly how she sounded. Like she was in a 70s sitcom.
Yep. Oh, I found out what the To the Moon thing is about.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
I was watching a Lindsay Ellis video talking about reinventing the past in kind of an imagine-y way and stuff in regards of saving Mr. Banks.
Okay. Yeah.
And then she started off the video by showing this clip from Futurama where they go to like this Disneyland-esque park.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has like this 50s sitcom kind of thing while they're going through a ride. And then a guy's just like, one day, and he's like talking to his wife, he's just like, you're gonna go to the moon. And then since the Disneyland park happens on the moon, everyone's just like, and that's how humans first made it to the moon. But then Fry, I think that's his name, he's just like, that was actually the guy saying he was gonna beat his wife. And then everyone in the audience laughed. And that was like one of the running jokes of the series. And I was like, I should bring that up sometime.
So what was the actual series?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it looks
this doesn't
kind
really
of like,
answer the question.
No, it's kind of like I Love Lucy.
Well, I figured that.
But I can easily find it now is the thing. I guess I could have easily found it anyway just by typing To the Moon.
Into Google, yes.
But I didn't do that.
Neither did I.
I just randomly remembered this. I haven't watched a video in like a month.
That's what you, the audience, are for. To do our work for us.
Yeah.
By crowdsourcing our lazy Googling. So, yeah, part 1 of The Pact is... It's so good having a mystery involving Agnes, getting to see her character do more and learn more about her. All of like the painting and stuff. She's such an interesting character, and I just love her so much. And getting to actually see her and Tom interact more as a couple, getting to learn more about both of their paths and stuff, and before Timmy.
Angus MacDonald is my favorite Adventures in Odyssey character.
Same. The memory of my friend Joe's name died long before I was born.
No!
What else can I say? There's a lot of stuff I want to say for the second part, because I didn't have a lot of specific notes about scenes in part 2, and so I kind of wanted to save a lot of my, like, overall stuff for that.
Part 1, as it should be with, like, any good mystery, is more, like, building up
It's
and
all
stuff.
all the setup stuff.
And then part 2 is more like a deconstruction and
explanation.
And that's why part 2 has more substance, but part 1 is really good. It's not as good as part 2.
I really like
it should be.
The scene in the library where they're looking through the books and they're like, these are all different, and then what makes the connection that they're like, even though it's kind of like, oh, it kind of cheated out of like the whodunit mystery on the audience's part because it's a visual element connection that we can't see. But I still think it's really clever of Whit to make that connection that it's like, it's not the content of the books, it's the visual appearance of the books that has this common theme between all of them. And I've always thought that was like a cool mystery element.
I really like Mandy in this two-parter.
Yeah.
I also love knowing that she looks like a young Joanne. Yeah. I think that's cool.
I'm so sad she didn't get to be there for the revelation at the end. Like, the resolution is the word I was looking for.
She's just like, tell me what happens. I have to go eat dinner. If I was her, I would be like, hey, Mom, Dad, I want to, like, follow through on this.
Yeah,
I'll talk to you later.
It's strange to me that they didn't bring her.
It's always bothered me. I wish they did.
I don't know if there was some sort of contrived recording reason that they had to, like, cut her, Arya's presence in the episode short.
Who wrote this?
Nathan.
I mean, if maybe you can ask Nathan.
I don't know, it's strange. There's nothing in the guide about it, but there is something in the guide about this episode, and it's the following. My take, Nathan Hubler, After the Novacom arc, we considered creating a story around Agnes Riley's paintings, that somehow she was able to communicate through her paintings in a way that she otherwise couldn't due to her illness. But what would she be trying to tell people? Days after our brainstorming, I attended my college graduation, which is how young Nathan was at the time. It was wild. During the ceremony, I thought about how long it might be until I saw any of my friends again. I got to thinking about how much fun it would be to make a pact that we would meet at a certain place on a certain date years later. I had recently read a short story in O. Henry's book, The 4 Million, 1906, which, of course, as we just mentioned, sort of is one of the books that Agnes pulls off the shelf in the library. I'd recently read a short story in O. Henry's book, The 4 Million, from 1906, about this very thing. This seemed like the perfect option for Agnes, to greatly desire to meet a friend after many years away, but to be unable to communicate her desire. Then I started to think what a great twist it would be if that person could be one of our existing Odyssey characters. Joanne Allen was the perfect choice, and the pact was written.
I think it's kind of weird to think about the fact that Agnes is like the same age as Joanne.
Yes.
For some reason, I've always thought of Joanne as being like so much younger than Whit and Tom and
Well, everyone's
Agnes.
much younger than Whit, Victoria.
That's true. But like Jack also kind of feels younger to me too than Whit. Just like in my mind.
I don't think he is.
I know.
I'm pretty sure they're the same age.
I know. But like I don't know why. I think it's the voices. Just like
Yeah, that's fair.
Their voices sound younger to me.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Tom and Agnes have always been like the oldest ones.
I don't think Agnes definitely does sound older than Joanne, but I think I've always pictured Jack and Joanne as being quite old as well. I mean, there's never been any art of Joanne where her hair is not completely grey.
I've never seen any art of Joanne.
She's on a bunch of album covers.
Like what?
The old versions of some of them. Stuff I'll show you later.
I haven't seen any of them.
I'll show you later.
I don't know what she looks like.
It's weird.
I also forget what everyone looks like all the time.
It's true.
I saw the picture of Richard in the thing,
Blacker novel.
and I was just like, oh my gosh, he's so handsome. I showed it to Devin. Devin's like, you've seen this before, and you had the same reaction then. I'm like, but he is.
Also, it's not the most flattering portrait.
I thought it was a nice picture. Leave me alone. Where were we?
I think that's about all I had to say about part 1.
I don't have anything else to say either.
So we'll wrap things up next time, which will be a little while for you guys. Yeah, The Pact part 1. So good. Such good episodes. I've been wanting to do them both for a long time, this review. And then stuff kept coming up, so I'm glad we finally got to do it.
Yep.
These have always held a special place dans ma cœur.
Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Yuletide.
And Hanukkah and Candle Nights.
And Candle Nights. And maybe just break off from whatever you're doing, hopefully, if you don't celebrate any of those things. Hopefully you have a break off work, at least. If not, it's cool.
You do know this is supposed to be an episode coming out in October, right? I mean, I know it's going to come out.
I know I'm saying it because it's going to come out right before Christmas.
Christmas is a week from today, but...
Happy Halloween!
Ooh, too spooky!
Ooh, yours is upside down!
Even spookier. Yeah, next time, what are we doing, Victoria? Nothing too exciting, but, you know.
Living in the... Oh, yes! Yes!
We don't have to show now.
Okay.
I'll be surprised for next time. But generally, we are doing...
we're going to do another movie review, and right after the last movie review...
we'll save it a surprise for next time.
I'm not going to say what it is. I'm just going to say I made something special, which we're finally going to get to use.
It's been a while.
I'm really excited.
Yes,
because I put a lot of thought into it, even though I made it very quickly. I'm very excited to use it.
Nice. Okay. So until then, next time, thank you for joining us on our side of YouTube. I've been Devin Francis, also known as Leonard Monster.
And I'm excited for the next episode.
And we're going to film that right
now. I'm ready.